That's right. Well, luck is really about personal power, and personal power translates into work. How you put yourself, how you show up for things. And so that's really what luck is. I think a lot of people actually give away their power each time they say, I'm just not lucky. And that translates back to maybe more about our conditioning or our upbringing or what we've been told along the way. And that was all just a mistake, because that's really not the truth.
Okay, well, obviously, in any endeavor, you have to be prepared, and that's your #1 rule for changing your luck.
That's
Get
right.
prepared.
That's right. You've got to get prepped. First of all, you have to know what you want. You have to get really clear and decisive about that and get prepped for it. I mean, you have to look at success as degrees. I mean, you don't just go and become a lawyer. You go and go through classes, and you entertain education and expand your knowledge base. You have to build towards things. A lot of people give up before they've even gotten out of the chute. So you have to get prepped. One example of this would be Sharon Stone, for example. She had gone into acting, and she was willing to do B movies. And I think there's another key. I just said they're willing. She was willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. And so time went on, and she found out about a script that just spoke to her, and it was, of course, Basic Instinct. And she somehow got a hold of it and got a hold of the producer and showed up in character.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I think that's really what took her from the sort of B-movie bimbo role into a, superstardom.
And that was her personal power. That was her confidence in herself, saying, I want this, I can do this. And she surely had to jump out there, and it was probably scary for her, but she did it, and look at what's happened.
And clever that she went into her audition for that, dressed the part, had the Grace Kelly suit in, and the French twist. And so she
very clever.
She
very
outsmarted,
powerful. Yes.
The other applicants.
That's right.
Make the moment. That's the next thing, and that's kind of an example of making the moment.
It is, but more directly would be that when a moment presents itself. See, what was it about Sharon that she even saw the moment? So there had to be a part of her that was so ready because she'd been prepped. And so, like Fran Drescher, who had been out there doing her work, doing some movies here and there, but wasn't really famous yet, she had come up with the sitcom herself. And she had played it out so many ways in her mind that when the moment presented itself, boom, she just, of course, she has a nice vocal.
She had the idea all developed.
Right, and she, boom, right out to a CBS producer.
But didn't that happen on an airliner?
It was on the airplane.
And she happened to be seated next to this.
But she had been prepped, she had thought about it, and when the moment showed itself to her, she just went, boom, right in. Probably didn't even think about it. She probably just launched right in. Wow, I can just hear her saying
that. That has to do, though, also with an ability to, well, it is seizing the moment, but also not being shy about seeing your opportunity. Of course, she didn't want to, be rude and interrupt this guy's book or whatever, but at the same time, she had to have enough chutzpah to say, since you're in the TV business, I want to lay an idea on you.
And you know what?
Go
she had to want it. She had to want it. And that's another thing I see where people lose out on their luck is they lower their desire instead of increase their desire. You have to crank that up. You have to make it burning. And I think Fran Drescher really has a burning desire in her, and you see that in her acting.
Now, is there really any such thing as an overnight success?
There are some out there, and they tend to burn out quickly because they don't really know how to handle the success. So yes, as I've studied and looked across, the whole board, yes, it does happen. But I also see that they disappear and they come back. One example of this, and this is would be John Travolta. I mean, he was a hot star very early on, and then had many years of growth that we didn't really hear much about. It's wonderful to see him back. That's just wonderful. But like Sheryl Crow, for example, she had spent, what people don't understand, she spent many years singing as a little girl. Then she went and she was a backstage performer, wrote songs for some of the famous singers, and then she came out. But it seemed like it was overnight, but it really wasn't. It's really not.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm getting at, because when they suddenly burst onto the media scene, we think, wow, what luck.
Right.
Or, boy, she had, she was discovered.
Yes.
But Sheryl Crow's a perfect example of someone who was behind the scenes in other bands and worked and wrote songs and sang them as backup.
She was willing.
She paid her dues.
And she was willing to do whatever it took. Again.
Okay, now we talked about effort versus results.
Right.
You kind of get what you pay for in this life in terms of...
You do have to effort. But the reason why I put this particular key is because what I've also seen happen is people try too hard to make the luck happen and or make it happen too fast. And so the less effort, more results. What that's about is getting back to the joy and the fun of it. And I think one of the best examples, and actually two now, Philippe Cardellino, who won actually the bronze in the men's, but then of course Lipinski. Well, you see them come out, and what are they? They're pure joy. They're smiling, and they both just played. Philippe really played to the audience. He moved up out of the ranks, clear up into the bronze position. Now, was there effort to that? I think not, because he was in such joy in his performance. So the effort, yes, there's physical, be there and show up. But what he exuded was, I was just stunned. I thought he was just marvelous. I think what he did really exemplified the less effort, more results, just by how he showed up.
That's interesting, because it speaks to your ability to either be, to crumble under the pressure, or not let it get to you.
Right,
and that's
and getting back into the less effort, more results. Yes, there's effort, but it's overdoing. We're a do society, and we need to pull back a little bit and just
enjoy the getting there.
Yes, even to be able to see a moment. To see that moment, you have to be able to be a little bit set back from it so you can see it and take it.
Okay, here's what we're going to do.